You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's RuPaul's Drag Race After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's RuPaul's Drag Race After Show.
Yay!
I thought there was going to be music, but that's okay. Hi, everyone. Bing is for doing, and we're doing another after show here for RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. I am your host, Jacque Borowski, and next to me is...
Cameron Marston.
And across from me...
Natalie Vratney.
Tony Moore.
And today we, as you can see, if you're watching it, I mean, if you're on iTunes... You can't see us. But if you're watching this, and download us on iTunes, subscribe. But if you're watching us, you can see we're in the big studio now. And first off, perks to being in the big studio.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The AC is on.
Oh.
That's exciting. We won't be
exciting.
sweating through this. The only sad thing is, though, Natalie and I put on our cute shoes today, and you can't see them.
Yeah.
So just in your head, imagine us wearing,
Priorities.
yeah. Imagine us wearing really cute shoes
Yeah.
because...
I
You
packed
can't see
them in
them.
my car.
Yeah.
Well, you
I
should
don't
always
do
have
that.
cute shoes in your car just in case.
I wore mine to work.
I didn't. I brought flats to
That
work.
is commitment.
Yeah.
That means you've been in those things all
I
day.
was committed to drag.
Beauty knows no pain.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And these are like, you can't see them, but they're like 6 inches tall.
They are. She's as tall as me
It's all
I
about-
know.
it's all about
And
her.
Tony's really
Pretty
tall
plain
in the
pants.
real world.
in the real world.
Clearly
In the
has
fake
long
world,
arms, too.
Oh, my big monkey arms.
I only said that because I can't reach the mug
Hey, Tim.
because I have midget arms. Anyway, and now I'm going to get like all sorts of hate mail. So we have...
comment on.
Yeah, please. So we have Tin Tim on the line. I actually, Pandora retweeted one of his videos last week, and he is a performer and a scholar. He's from Chicago. He had a lot of really, really fascinating what I thought was point on and interesting things to say. And so I asked him to call in today, and hopefully he can give us his dish on tonight's episode.
Nice.
Do we have him on the line? Yes.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi, Tim.
Hey.
Hi, welcome. I was just wondering, because I was telling everyone how much I loved your review of last week's episode and how I thought it was spot on. You were basically talking about people falling into roles, like Pandora and Mimi falling into specifically like rote roles that they were playing out, and you felt that was tired, and I agree with you. And I was wondering what your take on tonight's episode was.
Well, it definitely felt like there was still some of that in that, right? Like, I think that Tammie Brown in particular is the other one that people really felt was like a wild card going in. And, you know, I think folks who were less familiar with what she does and how brilliant it really is were sort of like, why is she here? So in that way, it was a little disappointing to see her also be, you know, going home really early. But I don't know, I was less fired up. In a way, my video was a harder one to make this week because I didn't think she, you know, and Nina took to the challenge really well. And, you know, that's hard to, you know, I don't think that was just editing this week. Like, it was pretty clear that, you know, it wasn't, you know, the best fit for them, or, you know, she performed what she usually does, which I think is great because they're really, they're both really interesting and distinctive, kind of punk in a way, like, you know, outsider artist type winners, but, you know, it wasn't, I didn't feel like anyone was wronged or anything, you know, like it was sort of hard to justify anyone but them going home.
Right.
Yeah.
And that brings me, I guess, to kind of my next topic. I have been against the concept of teams for this from the beginning because I feel it's weird that you're doing an all-stars show and then you're picking 2 all-stars. It just doesn't make sense to me, I guess. And some of the teams, like, again, I question whether or not they actually picked them or there was, like, certain proddings from producers as to, like, you should try this or that.
Or some combination thereof, right? Like,
right.
I think that it was all them because...
You do?
Yeah, because, I mean... Raven and Jujubee are very close, and they say that, you know, so of course they were going to pick each other. And then I think everyone else, it just so happened, you know what I mean? Like, you know, people wanted to work with other people for, you know, once you're in that mindset of like, now we're going to be paired, now I need to, you know, find my match. They started trying to pick, and then it depended on the match with them. So I don't think they were poked or prodded. That's just my opinion. I think the way the teams are was based on those matches that we saw last week and who decided to work with them.
I agree with Tony. Just because Chad and Shannel, they've already worked together, so they probably thought they would pick each other and it would be a great pair. So, you know, it would take them far. But
well, how do you guys feel about the teams? I guess
I have a feeling that at the end, if we're doing predictions, it's going to come down to like the final 4, and then it's going to be one-on-one. So they'll be up against each other.
Oh, yeah. I believe that if there is a secondary All-Star season, I don't think that Ru would go the path of doing teams again.
No.
But I
think it was a creative way to deal with the fact that they only had a 6-episode order, but so far it hasn't led to as entertaining of a season as I think maybe they thought it could in terms of the drama it's created. It has mostly felt sort of canned or awkward or strange, like I haven't really found it that engaging yet with this potential.
And fans are probably disappointed that favorites are going home, like Pandora Box and then Nina Flowers, even though I love Tammie Brown.
Well, going back to that, there are some, I mean, just in every sub-community, there's certain characters that are competitive, and in response to your email talking about Tin Tim, there are such things as drag athletes where they enjoy the competition of it, where some are just personas and their characters and they do their thing. They're not really in the competition side of it, which I think Tammie Brown falls into, and Pandora Box. But I think Nina Flowers was competitive, and unfortunately she got stuck with it. Partner that
they picked each other though. How many?
Well, there wasn't much left.
Well, we all know Pandora.
She's still competitive though, because sometimes I get a vibe from her like she's, you know, she's already like a national pageant title holder and like did really well in her season, and maybe she's just content to sort of have the legacy that she has and come in and be fierce, but maybe she wasn't as driven as maybe some of the others.
Who are we talking about?
It's hard to tell from the edit. Nina Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
She was an instant favorite of all of ours, and so it was a big. I mean, it's obvious, like you said, from her performance that that she would go home just based on the performance, but it was still a shock.
I think she wanted to show well, but I also think she probably is the most centered emotionally and spiritually. Forgive me if you don't believe that. I think she had a great center. That's why she went Miss Congeniality, right?
Yeah.
She had a great spirit to her.
You have to be likable to win Miss Congeniality.
She was. I found her very genuine.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess then that brings me to kind of my second question, which is the flip side of the coin. So we had Team Alexis win, which was something I didn't see, and I like. Again, this falls into, Tim talks about this in his video, basically saying that the people with language barriers also fall into these tropes. So how did you feel about them winning?
So I'm definitely tired of, you know, them being made, like the Puerto Rican queen sort of being made into a joke. So in a way I was happy that, like, the ending sort of turned on its head in a way, and then like they got to make the jokes. But I didn't really see. I mean, I kind of agree. Like just beyond that sort of ideological thing. Like from what we saw at least of what was included, which was only a small snippet of the full challenge. I know. Like I didn't think that they were the most interesting. Like what Chad did with Bette Davis and what Manila did with Madonna. Both I thought like caught me off guard a lot more and were more surprising. And I don't know, that's something that I look for, I think, in any kind of art and in drag is like what what is unexpected to me, or tends to be what interests me most. And Charo didn't feel like that unexpected from Yara Sofia, even though she performed it well.
Yeah.
Well, I also thought the Shakira impression wasn't that great. I liked the Charo impression,
but
just
tuning in, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't
Alexis
know.
Was.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that was necessarily Shakira, and she was. To use the phrase Santino did, the straight man. So it's like she wasn't even saying much in that, and so there was no switching of roles to where one person really gets to show their impression.
But if you notice, each team had one person that did better than the other in their impressions. You just mentioned Chad. There was Chad, who did a great Bette Davis, Shannel, and Lucille Ball, Jujubee. Juju did a great job with Fran Drescher. They had some issues with Raven as Bea Arthur, although I thought she did great
I thought she was
Arthur.
funny. She wasn't, to me, she wasn't necessarily Bea Arthur. Yeah, she wasn't necessarily Bea Arthur, but she was funny, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think in each group there was one person out of the group that just did stellar. So I don't know if that was that one person kind of falling back a little to make that other character shine, because maybe it was more of like an exaggerated character or what. But there was always one. So at least that's good.
Yeah. I think of all of them, Raven, as far as the weaker of the couples, Raven fell short, whereas the other ones just didn't have it. Like, I don't find Latrice to be comedic unless it's off the cuff in communication. I don't find Shannel entertaining whatsoever. So sorry.
Why did you whisper it? She's not here.
Because then I get hate mail because I don't like my gay community. Whatever. Shannel sucks. That's my opinion.
Well, you said that loud and clear.
We're gonna get some angry YouTube comments. That's okay. We like this.
Well, no one hates me.
Just in case
That's
you're
true.
snoozing.
Everybody
Shannel
loves Tony. That's why everybody loves Tony's show. I know. Haters on one side. This is how they split it up. If you can't see us on iTunes, it's haters on one side, friendly people on the other.
I actually get no comments, so that makes me feel even worse.
You're like the redheaded stepchild.
Different towards
that
me.
no one talks about.
Daywalker.
I'm kidding.
No, it's been my whole life.
Oh, so for Untucked was the episode of Sads. Everyone was crying about their dad. I just think, and that's another thing I wonder, like, because I know that producers will go out and they'll, like, if they think you have a good backstory, they'll take the time to go out and search that person who's missing.
Without your permission.
Yeah. No, they will. And, like, well, the thing is, when you fill out a form, when you go into these things, you say, the forms ask very pointed questions.
It's implied.
Yeah. So they'll say, like, how is your relationship with your parents? How is your relationship with your community? Things like that. And so once they know a nugget of information like that, then they'll, like, move hell and high water.
What? Molestation? Where they live?
Right. But so, right. So Chad's dad, who he hasn't spoken to in 25 years,
That's
called
crazy.
in and then caused a whole back roll of actually what I thought were some of the best comments of the episode, where the queens were kind of reflecting on the fact that they feel like a disappointment to their fathers because they are women dressed like men.
Right.
Or men dressed like women.
I'm sorry. Men dressed like women. Meh.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
They're really women in their hearts. So how did you feel about the Untucked episode? Have you seen it, Tim?
I did, yeah. Actually, someone asked me about this earlier somewhere, and I don't know. Like, I appreciate that they've been varying the tone on those Untucked episodes. So you get the really serious, heavy ones, and then you get like just the funny ones, like Willem's Game last week, and then you get like, what they used to do and continue to do, where it's more arguments and drama and all that. Like, I didn't connect with it that strongly. Like, I'm going to sound like such a jerk here probably, but it felt like a little sentimental. But it may be just that I don't have that kind of, I'm not carrying that kind of trauma that some other folks are around familial rejection. And so I don't know. But I didn't have a strong, it was well executed. I'm glad that it was someone like Chad, who I feel like has the emotional maturity and resources to like handle something like that happening on screen. because there is, potentially that exploitative element to it if it, when it's unexpected like that and someone isn't prepared and they're in the middle of this like really intense competition.
And then they break down and they're worth nothing.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. I agree. It's good that it happened to a person like Chad, who's a very strong person.
Right.
I think it does bring up an interesting point that, these are drag queens and they do not live as a woman, but they perform as women. And I think, in their father's eyes, every father, looks forward to having a son and, doing the typical things like baseball and basketball. These guys obviously wanted to, sew dresses and wear heels and things like that. So it was almost like being their mother's child. So I think it can weigh heavy on them a little bit because, they do still want to make their fathers proud, but in the sense that they feel like they can't make their fathers proud in the way that they want them to be, as far as like doing the typical, guy stuff, going on fishing trips and basketball and stuff like that, So I think it raised a very interesting point. And like Latrice said, it does take a strong man to dress as a woman.
That was one of my favorite quotes. I was going to say it if you didn't, because I thought that they, like I said, they had a lot of really amazing like quotes and like connections between them that came from
I also
this.
think it takes a strong man to do that scoot at the end of Lip Sync for Your Life.
Wait, hold up.
That was quite the scoot.
Can we dig
Latrice
deeper
shuffle?
into
I
this?
enjoyed it.
Can we dig a little deeper into this, like
Into
into
the
the
Latrice-
psychology of
the psychology
drag
of
queens
the
and
Latrice shuffle?
transgender and that such? I mean, I know many drag queens that didn't grow up wanting to wear women's clothes, but they found a knack, or they actually found a skill in it and learned to enjoy it. So it wasn't like they were drawn to it, and then it's not like they were transvestites per se.
Yeah.
So there's just such a wide range. So I can understand, maybe you played football and then the father was so used to that, is that there's such a, I don't know, I wanted to talk about this last time, but there's also drag queens that actually are in the process of transitioning. They don't always admit it, but some of them do want to become women. That's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, there is a spectrum.
Such a wide,
Like Manila was saying, there was a period where, he dated a girl, was going to marry her, was going to have, but it just wasn't well, once he got brought out of the closet, then he went through his whole thing and then kind of gravitated towards, performing and things like that, and obviously found his happy. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, well, I don't mean to move us on, but I am.
We probably should. I feel like it's one of those Debbie Downers. Now we need an upper.
We do. Tim, I want to thank you for calling in. Is there anything else you would like to say to our viewers before we move on?
This is the part where you
I
plug
don't
your
think so.
videos.
No, just I'm going to continue to do the the YouTube reviews. As long as the season's on for the next 4 weeks, I guess. So
What's your channel?
I'm looking
on
forward
YouTube?
to seeing the rest of the season.
Where can we find the videos, Tim?
It's like YouTube / Tim Jones Yelvington, which is like YEL V as in Victor INGTON.
And it should be posted. It should be posted on the bottom of the screen if you're watching from YouTube as well. Thank you, Tim, so much for calling in. He has some really smart reviews, you guys.
Very
Check
well
them
spoken.
out. He's very well spoken.
And in full face when he's doing these videos. Kudos to that.
Yeah.
just mugging.
Dedicated queen and scholar.
Right.
Studying.
I hope you go do a show or something after that, so that way all that paint's not in vain.
Yeah. Agree. Thanks so much for calling in.
Tim.
Thank you.
Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have
Can we play Into Butt-Roo?
yes, the challenges. So the
that's my
first
favorite.
challenge winner was Jujubee, which I thought, to me, they won the main challenge, but we'll move on to that later. Do you guys have anything to say about Into Butt-Roo before we move on
Other
to
than
the
the
main
title is
challenge?
awesome.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter last night, and because we screen it here before we come on, and so I don't actually watch the episode until I'm here at AfterBuzz. And I was like, why is it all hashtag Into Butt-Roo all over Twitter?
I have no idea why they called it that, but I do think it was a great way for us to maybe find out how well they know each other.
Yes.
I mean, I think knowing each other will help them and benefit them with this pairing along the way. So it was interesting, especially when Manila and Latrice realized, like, oh, girl, we don't really know that much about each other. And they had that moment of, like, getting to know each other. So I think the point of the game was to, like, a getting to know you sort of a thing.
Or
so
humanize
I like that.
them, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's what you need to do if you're gonna have teams.
Yeah.
You might as well do that. So then, and plus, I was just a fan of that Newlywed show. I forget what it's called, the Newlywed Game, whatever it is.
The Newlywed Game.
I used to really love that show anyway. So
We should play that here one day.
we should.
We would all fail.
We're gonna call it in the butt.
We'll call it Into Butt AfterBuzz.
That's why they. Never mind.
Hashtag Into Butt AfterBuzz.
Hashtag cream pie.
Hashtag put it in me.
See, I knew it was going to go there.
Raven said that.
I know. She also said the devil wears nada.
The devil wears nada.
So good. So then the big challenge was the celebrity impression that had like 5 different parts to it. I didn't understand. The problem I have with that kind of setup is you have all these parts, but then we don't get to see everything that everyone's doing. So I'm like, why don't you just make it less complicated?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should have researched this before I came in, but I feel like that was maybe how the show was back there. Maybe there was a show. Yeah. And it's kind of, thank you so much for nodding and saying that I'm good. Okay, so thank you. So I feel like that's why there were so many components, because there were, they were trying to recreate that. So it was, it's fun.
I thought Team Jujubee, like I said earlier, did a great job. I found them funny. Raven might not have been dead on, and I'm a huge Bea Arthur fan, so.
But see, I am too. I thought Raven did a great job as Bea Arthur.
Yeah.
Like, I thought she had the facial expressions, she had the voice, like, it was very deadpan, very, like, straight on and forward, like Bea Arthur would be. I thought she did a great job, so I didn't agree with.
And out of all the teams, both of them, someone could just tune in and know who they were playing. Whereas with the other teams, I felt like only one of the team members were kind of doing something recognizable.
Maybe of the clips we saw, that was the highlight reel for her, as opposed to everybody else who may have had more to choose from. I wish her voice was a little more gravelly. I mean, of the Bea Arthur, I only know Bea Arthur from Golden Girls. I didn't watch Maude. She wasn't Maude.
I didn't watch Maude either, but I think
I'd rather watch
it's
Olivia
because
Dukakis,
it's a generation thing, I think. Even you're too old for that, Cam.
I am.
So I want to actually bring up something that Tony brought up last week when we were watching, and I don't remember if you actually said it live or not. Yeah, we're all like pointing at him.
I'm Tony, just in case you didn't know.
Wait. Who's Tony?
Me.
Got it.
This guy.
So the judges, you brought up a good point saying that on All Stars for Project Runway, they have different judges.
Yes. I felt like it was a little weird for the All Star seasons to have the same judges that they do for the regular seasons. I agree the way Project Runway All Stars does it. They bring in new judges that kind of have a fresh take on the girls, that don't have a rapport with them, that haven't seen them before and judged them before. So it kind of gives a new way to kind of critique them and to analyze them and to kind of push them.
And unbiased them.
Exactly. Like, I feel like, they've judged these girls before. They've seen these girls before. And, now for years, with the exception of the very first season, but Santino has been with them since the first season. But for the most part, I feel like, you already have this kind of rapport and relationship with these girls and familiar with them, that how can you really judge their progression,
Right. Well, no, I disagree with that.
Devil's advocate.
I hated when Project Runway brought in different judges. And I think because these judges have seen all of these queens for 4 seasons, they're judging how they have grown. They already know what they did in their seasons. Now they're going to see, okay, I haven't seen you in a season or 4 seasons.
And they can hold them to a higher standard.
Now are you really an all-star? Can Chad do something other than share?
Okay,
so
well, middle ground here. They could. The problem I had with Project Runway's judges that they brought in for All Stars were they sucked. They were just the most boring judges you would ever hear from, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, please stop talking," because you can't compare to Heidi Klum or Tim Gunn. I think the idea would be if you bring in somebody different to judge them. Bring in somebody like I mean I don't know if they could get Vicki Lawrence for all those, but Vicki Lawrence was serving it up.
Yeah.
Like you could bring in someone like a Vicki Lawrence. Not that I would ever want to replace Michelle Visage, but like in her place, somebody else. You could bring in another Project Runway person in place of Santino, and that way you still have the big personality, but
Holy Jay. Big Jay.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
Christian.
the one who was with Christian in that one challenge. Okay, this isn't AfterBuzz for, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But there's a different way to do it without having it have the same kind of thing. And also, like, why did nobody push this? What do you call it? Save a hoe button?
Oh, the same.
Don't touch that button, ho.
Listen, they only got
Tammie
one
didn't want
time to hit that button, and they better use it wisely. So
And Nina knew you're not gonna lip sync against Latrice.
Who was doing the Super Bowl shuffle?
that little 5, 6, 7, 8 at the end
She prepped
was.
for
You know,
dismount.
she was holding that. She's like, I'm going to bring this out.
She won. That was
And
it.
it was amazing.
That was it.
But I have to say, as far as
Her farm.
her form, her legs. I feel like the lip sync was great, you know, because like Raven mentioned, they both were in it. Like, you
That's
know,
true.
Latrice with her Latriceisms and Tammie with her Tammieisms. Like, we know that Latrice can lip sync the house down. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen her, you know, in her season. She can stand there and totally kill
Her
someone.
energy is crazy, yeah.
But so is Tammie's.
Tammie's a visual. She's totally visually.
Tammie
drawing.
is very entertaining. Just like Vicky said, if there's any one person that you would want to just sit and watch, it would be Tammie.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it was a tough decision, I think.
Yeah,
between
and
them.
you're right. Like when we were watching it, Tony was like, "It's all going to come down to the shuffle."
Tammie's
this was it.
entertaining, whereas I think Latrice is endearing. So you kind of have an emotional draw to Latrice, where you have the entertainment draw to Tammie Brown, because Tammie Brown crazy.
She's like an alien.
I love crazy.
From another. She said she was from another planet.
I love crazy.
That she is.
How do you guys also feel? Okay, so the judges, Tony was explaining to me there was an extra cut that I didn't really notice that now they're cutting back to the judges.
Yes. So
When Rue's on the stage.
yeah. So usually when they go to the main stage and they present Ru, they now do this shot with the judges where they're like,
Mugging.
you know, and
posing.
I guess I've never noticed that.
It's new.
like
It wasn't.
It's
It's the
new.
first time.
Yeah, I like that because it's like these are the judges, and then now here's Ru. You know what I mean? I always look forward to Ru's part because I always want to see what she's wearing and what look she has. Which I thought this look, by the way, was excellent.
Yeah.
As always. But just that shot, I was like, oh, look at them! They get their little moment in the
She's
spotlight too. Yeah.
So in the
I
gay
like-
community, and to go even further in the sub community for the drag queens or transgender, when you have somebody posing like that, you know, for your bust, it's called mugging. So they got their mug shot.
I thought that I like that addition, but I also like that they seemed, I don't know if it's because they also added more commentary from them or what, but they seemed a little bit more quippy with each other and then a little bit more lively. But then I had a problem when they were adding in weird sound effects to places that I'm like, where did that come from? I'm trying to remember. It was like they were judging people, and I feel like the sound effects like were overtaking their comments, and that wasn't even necessary.
Is it while they were walking and they
It was
usually
at
do
the
commentary?
It was at the end when they're all like standing up, and they'll do cut shots between the girl who's being judged and the people who are talking about them, and they were making these weird sound effects that I'm like, well, these judges are all very colorful people. They hold their own. You don't need to add in weird sound effects, and so that was just a point of irritation.
Speaking of Blondie,
Busy Phillips?
Busy
Oh,
Phillips.
I love her.
She was on Freaks and Geeks. That's all I know.
She's currently on Cougar Town.
yeah, I mean she's
I
great
haven't
on
watched
Cougar
that.
Town. I just didn't find her very entertaining on this show.
She's boring. I'm sorry. I meant to say she's not entertaining.
Well, she's
she
funny
didn't
on
make the
Cougar
cut.
Town, everybody.
No, she is.
So watch her there.
Like I'd rather have like Elizabeth Banks, I think is her name. Like,
Oh, I
she's
love
hilarious.
her. Yeah.
Is that from the 80s?
No,
She from the 80s?
Elizabeth Banks, she's on 30 Rock.
Oh,
She
no,
was in the
I'm
Hunger
confusing her-
Games.
I'm
Hunger Games
confusing her
as
with
a-
someone
Pitch
else.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
Hello.
Confusing her with someone else.
Hello.
Did you guys really think Manila was cross-eyed? Because she did.
No,
Yes.
but
She
she's
did.
hilarious.
She did look cross-eyed.
She did with the white under her eyes. She
Yeah.
did look cross-eyed, and then she just add extra to the cross-eyed.
glad
when
she played
paid
into
attention
it,
to
though.
Yeah,
She
of
owned
course.
it.
Yeah.
But that's what Pandora said last week. She was like, you have to.
When something's weird, you make fun of it.
Yeah.
But that picture of her and Zahara, she looked beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Zahara
that
did
was-
too, but I'm saying
Yeah.
Manila looked beautiful.
And that was a moment where you just because of course
Right.
that was filmed a while
Right.
back, and now we know
Right.
that Sahara has recently passed, and it's just like.
I know. I
so
felt like there was a
heart-wrenching.
lot of the sads.
Yeah.
Like, just so
Oh, the sads.
Oh, the sads. And they're I don't know what I was going to say.
You gotta kind of
the train
wonder,
was
too.
in my head, and then the train
You
left.
gotta kind of wonder. I mean, because they left it on the photograph for a slightly long
Well, it's a
time.
nice picture.
No, I think there was a little bit of editing for the effect of it too. Because never mind.
I'm sure it was though, because by now they know that she has died. So I'm sure that
they're
like they
producers,
did
they're
that on
gonna milk it.
purpose. Yeah.
Are we gonna go back and go over
Yes,
all the
we
rest
can.
of the?
Yes.
Because
Yes, we can start from the beginning. It's a very good place to start. You guys love going in circles with us. Don't lie.
we do.
I didn't jump to Untucked.
Okay.
It was
I
important.
watch Untucked first. So
Which is backwards. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're supposed to watch the episode first and then Untucked, which is
But
why
then-
the episode airs first and then Untucked.
But then I see this is an interesting way of watching things.
You're
though.
trying to do Rue Cliff Notes,
know
and you
what's
can't do
happening.
that. You can't do Rue Cliff
You
Notes.
gotta apologize.
I gotta apologize.
You have to watch the episode first before you watch.
All right,
Untucked.
Tony, rein it in.
See,
What you
I
got?
like, but here's why. Okay, in my own defense, before
defense.
I apologize. I like to know what the emotional like blah
going
blah
on
blah
in
is
the-
going on behind the scenes when people are being judged and kicked off. So then when I'm watching the episode, I'm like, ooh, she's mad about this and she's unhappy about that. And
Yeah, so it's
We're
almost better
working
to
on
watch
her.
it first, which is why I did too, Jackie.
Queen.
You watch it
Natalie.
first too?
Yeah.
Wrong. Wrong. Just wrong. That's like, oh,
Right.
I'm gonna read the Cliff Notes to see if I would like this book before I actually
That's
read
how
it.
I got through high school in some classes.
You got through
I
high school with
read
Cliff
the
Notes?
Cliff Notes. Well, just my English class.
Awful. Now that
You
that
got
explains
through
it.
high school, period.
I got through high school. Let's just leave it at that.
Bless her
okay,
heart.
In
so
college.
what did you guys want to say about the beginning that we skipped over?
Sorry.
I know we're gonna get hate mail for it right now.
So
we love
what?
you guys.
Rip.
We love you guys anyway.
Rip. You don't like it? Comment it. I like that.
I was not sure about Manila's Madonna and Latrice's Oprah.
You're not sure or you just didn't like it?
Okay, Latrice
was
is
just
not
like-
Oprah.
He's way too nice, isn't he?
She had the Oprah hair. That was her best hair I think I've ever seen her
You know
wear.
why? Tony's friends with these queens. That's why. So it's unfair. I want him to start ripping, and I know he's not gonna. But
And Manila's Gap.
I'll be
perfect.
honest, but I don't know. I wasn't a big fan.
It fell
of
short.
either one.
It fell way short.
Yeah.
I see why they were in the bottom because it was like they looked the part, but it didn't really have the kind of like enthusiasm.
it didn't
Yeah.
land.
Yeah.
No.
And then you had RuPaul coming in and saying, I don't even know who your character is, basically asking if she was Paula Deen.
But I think she was doing that on purpose. She was coming for them. She wanted to see how they could handle her comeback.
Furthermore on that, RuPaul was doing that throughout the whole show. Did
I
anyone else
know.
notice
Yeah.
that there were these one-liners? Like even when she went to Jujubee and they said the joke and she was like, "Oh, that was it," and I was like. And I felt like Jujubee there when she was like, "What? What happened?"
And then
We
she also
have-
made that comment to Nina.
Well, she came after Nina. Oh.
Yeah.
Guys, we actually have a very special guest on the line.
Hooray.
Shady hoe.
Who do we
Who is
have?
Very special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, what's going on?
This is Kenny.
Hi.
Kenny. Hi,
Hi
Kenny.
guys.
Hi, Kenny.
Kenny.
I don't know you, but hi.
Kenny.
Oh, you know me, bitch. What's going on?
Kenny was on our previous seasons of AfterBuzz for RuPaul's Drag Race, and I had dinner with him recently, and he had
gay.
He is gay for you viewers that keep telling me that there are no gay people on this show, which confuses me.
Or saying they're not gay enough, which is a little
I'm
rude.
totally queer.
Okay, it's kind
I'm
of
a
rude.
fag.
Cameron's pretty gay.
I like Boto. Just saying.
Kenny.
Kenya!
Yeah.
So he had some very interesting points. To begin with, he had some interesting points about like the pairings, and he also had interesting points about going back to what Tim said earlier about the lack of controversy in this show. I feel like they're basically painstakingly trying to invent the controversy. Which, Kenny, what was your suggestion?
Well, I think the whole show is for the cast. If you're gonna bring back like interesting characters, you bring back like Willamette, or you bring back Shannel, just to mix it up. I mean, they brought back people that we actually all kind of like and care about. But the one comment that I wanted to make tonight with you guys, I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier, is that the untucked version of the episodes are more exciting than the actual episode itself.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. But you still wait till after you watch the episode.
I don't think that's the point he's trying to make.
Next week, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell y'all I just watched Untucked because it's more interesting now.
Boo.
Well, I honestly think that I didn't hear your guys' show tonight, but the Untucked, you guys could really just recap the Untucked because that was more interesting. I feel like the challenge was boring. I don't like the whole pairing. That's just stupid. Yeah. And I was telling Jackie last week that the whole idea of bringing all-stars, they've done it. I think it's just too soon. They should have done like 5 or 6 more seasons and then brought back like a whole group of queens over the a span of 10 years as opposed to just the first 4 years. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I know it was again, Tim mentioned this when he called in, that it was a way to deal with the short episode order, but at the same time, it's you can think of something better that doesn't involve it. If you're going to pair queens up, you should do it with new queens where it's going to be even more controversial. And
right. Or tragic.
Well, and Kenny and I were saying they only brought like he said they brought in queens that everybody cares about. So if you had mixed that in with, you could have even brought in I hate myself for saying this, but you could have even brought in Fifi from last season.
No, I totally agree. I think she would have been perfect for this. Yeah. This kind of
actually,
environment.
She would have been in the same light as Mimi because I don't know. I don't know who you think. Who cares?
But it's she's a good performer, but she brings controversy, and there were tons of people that you could have brought back that are really good performers, but are also fairly controversial.
And Tammie didn't really have a big fan base when we did the show either. So maybe she had gained it or had her. They finally jumped on the train.
Tammie brings the weird.
No, I like her too. I'm just saying, as far as
for me, I think as far as the casting, if you're gonna let's point them out. All stars. I don't think Tammie should have been back. I don't think Mimi should have been back. I wasn't a big Pandora Box fan. I think for the simple fact that she quit in the season that she was on, basically when she went up against Alexis Mateo. I don't think Yara should have been back. I don't think Alexis Mateo should have been back. For me, out of the 12, I would honestly have said that 4, maybe 5 of them were honestly worthy of being all, quote unquote all stars. But I get it. I think this is Logo's way of filling their network broadcast because they canceled the A-list the A-list New York and A-list Dallas, so they don't really have any shows to fill it with. And this was, I guess one of the shows that they wanted to use. But
which is probably why they did All Stars so early too.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting another 5 seasons.
And it's their most popular show, so it's what else?
Courtney's happy about Yara winning.
Yara Sofia.
But
yeah, and I was watching. I was like, "Really? They actually won?" I didn't understand.
Yeah, I did not understand that. I did not understand that.
Going back for a second, you guys, we've brought up the pairing a lot. You have to think about this. First off, in the casting of everything, when you see the pairs, they do make sense. Mm-hmm. So if you brought in Fifi, if you brought in Shangela, if you brought in the other people that you guys are mentioning, who would they be paired with? You know what I mean? So I think as of right now, the pairings and the way that they want to do it, it makes sense. It's a short season, yes, but I feel like this is their way of testing the waters to see if even an all-star season would even work. Now that means that obviously it is working because I think a lot of people are drawn to it. So that means that when it comes back, maybe it will be longer, maybe it will be different, maybe there won't be pairings, but this is just their way of saying, we're going to put it out, see if it works, which is obviously it is. And then when we bring it back, we can bring it back fiercer, badder, whatever. So.
Well, going along that line, though, if you're going to say that these pairings make sense, then it almost would contradict the idea that it really wasn't their choice. It was kind of pre-planned. You could go along that way.
But you still gravitate towards people who you feel like you would do well with. Chad and Shannel. Who else would
Shannel? Well, Shannel did really poorly on her season. She was hated.
But they worked together.
Yeah, but
so that means the producers did more homework to bring them together. And again, so it wasn't necessarily.
Well, yeah, it could have been, manipulated in that way. But I don't think they got to set and they're like, okay, you raise up this flag and you do, or whatever the pedal.
I think that, like Shannel said in the episode, they both work the same. They are both very anal retentive people who are very professional and polished. Therefore, they're going to want to be paired together in order to win this. Shannel,
I agree with. Is that? I don't know. Is this Tony?
Yeah.
Did I get his name right?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Tony and Kenny.
Hi, nice to officially meet you.
I watched you guys last week, and I actually like a lot of your commentary. I do agree with you to a certain extent. However, I think the choice for them to allow to pick their own partners was a mistake. I think random partnering would have made it more interesting as far as who stays and who goes. But I mean, whoever got stuck with Mimi, whether it be someone as good as, I mean, I don't consider her really good, but Raven or just anybody other than Pandora Box, it would have made it interesting because I feel like if she had a strong partner, that would have put her strong partner more in jeopardy.
Yeah.
For going home, and I think that makes it more interesting. Whereas Chad and Shannel, they do work well together, and so you expect them to stick around. You expect Raven and Jujubee to stick around. I want to see contrast a little bit because it's for me it's kind of like watching a reunion special, and it just so happens every week you're losing a couple. So I think some of the choices for the season are just really lackluster, and
I would have loved to have seen Chad and Mimi paired together because I think Chad would have still turned it out.
Yeah.
But Shannel with Mimi wouldn't. I'm sorry, Chad. I mean, you can say Chad and Shannel are retentive and they have similar work ethics, but I'm sorry, Shannel she's not even in the same league as Chad Michaels. I'm sorry. As far as drag is concerned, maybe as an entertainer, but as far as drag is concerned, I'm sorry.
I disagree with that. I do.
So who do you guys think should have won the challenge? Because I didn't think Yara Alexis should have won. I said
Jujubee. I think they,
Yeah.
Even though I didn't like the runway.
Minus the runway outfits.
Yeah,
so
minus
I'm
the
sorry.
runway.
Those
Even though
stockings
the
are
judges,
hideous.
for the most part, liked them.
I love the runway outfits. That's what the 60s look like.
The
to me.
dresses were okay, but the stockings were hideous.
Well, I felt like in the first episode when they were all being introduced, they looked so much taller and leaner. And then these runway outfits made them look short and stumpy and just not.
But that's what they wore. Like, you can't, they had to, have this specific attire, so they couldn't, jazz it up for them. They had to wear exactly, what they
But again, a good queen knows what coloring to wear. Those colors for their stockings.
Yeah,
they
You did not like those stockings
I
at
liked
all.
them.
I did too.
Now,
I
Chad
thought it went all
Michaels,
together. That dress.
not the
Loved
favorite,
it.
but that dress probably was the best outfit I've seen this short season.
Yeah.
It was really
sick.
good.
It was really cute.
I like it when the teams match. So I think that's what I also appreciate about Jujubee because I like that their outfits matched. And I feel like
The theme flowed, yeah.
the theme flowed together. Even though I thought Chad's outfit was absolutely gorgeous, it's just if you're a team, you should have team t-shirts, you should match.
See, you would be one of those people if you had a twin sister. You guys would dress alike until you're 100 years old.
Yeah, and we would confuse the
Boxing
crap
twins.
out of everybody. What's that Patty Duke show? I always loved the Patty Duke show because I was like, what a twin that I can. I made my sister dress like me, but she looks nothing like me.
Kenny,
Yeah.
do you think that Chad is carrying Shannel?
I think so. I mean, but here's my thing. As far as couple, the way, I don't understand the judging as far as, are they judging their runway as a pair or just, in general, separately, blah, blah, blah. And that goes for the actual challenge. Oh, and by the way, if you're going to have a mini challenge, have it relevant and, lead it into, the main challenge. I think this season is just something's missing. And,
No, the mini challenge went with the final challenge because the Newlywed Game is from that
the 60s.
time.
The era.
Yeah.
I get it, but you know how during the mini challenge, the winner gets to choose whatever, or they actually get a prize of some sort. I can't remember what happened last week, but I think it was kind of the same thing. It's just kind of that.
You feel like it's
boring.
hodgepodge?
Ain't nobody got time for that, Kenny.
I've been saying that all day. Nobody had time for that.
But I do think
Trying to get to the show.
in every coupling, there's one strong one, and that is helping the other one, move along.
So of Jujubee and Raven, who do you think is the strong one?
I think Raven may be the strong one,
I think so too.
Yeah.
but I think Jujubee has her moment.
I
But
guess she may
I
be,
think
because
Raven.
people are using her to get
I think
hookups.
Jujubee has great commentary.
That is a personal side note. Bah, bah, bah.
But like
But
I said, I honestly, I don't really consider many of them all-stars, so that's just my personal opinion.
see,
I mean, they're all-stars in their own right, but as far as me as a viewer, I would have gone with different people.
For me, it goes back to what I said last week. It all depends on your type of drag. And I think that each of the girls who are here this season, their type of drag is on point. So, I mean, in my eyes, they're all stars.
Kenny, Tony is highly politically correct, and he's friends with these queens.
Listen,
So.
whether I'm friends with them
I agree with your statement, but as far as me as an outsider looking in, for me, and knowing what they went through, I'm sorry, I love Latrice. I still think, for me, and trust me, I don't know, I'm not an expert on drag, or I know nothing, but from watching, there's nothing that she's doing differently this season that she didn't do 6 months ago. When we watched
her makeup looks better.
But you have to realize this: Chad and Latrice are coming right off the tails of their season into All Stars. So they literally finished their season, did Drag U, and went right into All Stars. So we're not going to see probably that much growth. But when you have Tammie Brown and Raven and all these people from seasons past, yeah, they're going to have a little bit.
See, and I disagree, because I feel you've been working, you've been on the show, you've been doing Drag U. You have no excuse but to have used that time and that opportunity to grow exponentially.
They had no time. They had
resources and they had money.
I think that all goes back to the producer's choice to do an all-star season so soon and cast two people that we just watched. And I think that makes it a little stale for me as a viewer.
Because, I mean, let's talk about it. So they did Drag U. Let's be honest. A lot of queens don't have successful careers. Some do, some don't. Like we talked about, there's a wide gambit. So they had opportunity. Like Latrice had jail time, right? I mean, what was she doing for work? Now she's done Drag U. She's had opportunity to get access to makeup for free. You have the time and the resources to up your game. So maybe the makeup is good, but I agree with Kenny that not much is different, and she's had the opportunity. So I feel it was kind of squandered.
In her defense, they brought back all of the miscongenialities. Every person who was voted a miscongeniality was brought back because they're fan favorites, and Latrice is a fan favorite.
And you also have to realize a little tidbit for you guys. They literally had about a week to prepare for All-Stars. So just imagine the wigs, the clothes, the list of stuff that they get to make sure that they bring. That takes a while. I mean, it takes me a while to pack for a 2-day trip, let alone if I had to pack for a show and I was a drag queen, I had to get wigs, costumes, nails, makeup, this, that, and the other. You're trying to get all this stuff together. Yes, you're professional and you've done this, but now you're about to enter into a competition. You want to do your best, and they only give you this a couple of days or a few days to do it. So I mean that goes into play as well. Not that I'm I think
had I known that information, if RuPaul would have had that a part of the opening of the episode, I would have been more excited to watch it, because that is important. I mean, if they only had literally 1 week, that kind of ups their the game for them. You know what I mean?
Well, and it also lends to what we talked about when you were back with us last season, Kenny, is that we can only judge what we're given. We don't get this backstory, so it's not fair to expect us to understand that. Not that you do, but in general, we can only judge what we know. So that backstory about how much time they really had is really not a factor until, okay.
So, we have to move to news and predictions.
No, Kenny, ask your question first.
Real quick. What's going on with Michelle Visage? I mean, it seems like she's getting more draggy every
That's what I said. Yes. I said that during the episode. I was like, Michelle is very draggy.
Well, she has her own house.
I think she needs to pull it back. I think it's too much.
She has her own house.
I loved her. I love her. She called our show last season. I think she just needs to pull it back for me, personally. But
well, drag on, Michelle. Drag on.
Well, okay.
Bye, Kenny.
Thanks,
Kenny.
Great
comment. Thanks,
it was so nice to meet you.
Kenny,
You're
what's
welcome,
your Twitter
guys.
again?
Tony, it was nice to speak with you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, we miss you. Bye. News and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Now that I'm deaf from that noise, RuPaul's Drag Race news and gossip. Cloud Atlas opened last week. Co-creator Lena Wachowski, I might be pronouncing wrong, but I'm also Polish, so
take that.
Take that. Has said she hopes that the film Cloud Atlas can challenge the attitudes of transphobic people. Lena said that one character in the film, a waitress who plays a revolutionary, reflected her own struggle with being transgendered. The film stars Tom Hanks, Hugo Weaving, Halle Berry, Hugh Grant, and Susan Sarandon, who all play multiple characters crossing racial and gender lines and featuring multiple time periods. The themes Wachowski mentions might not come across, however, because the film was recently criticized by Asian Americans for casting Western actors in yellow face makeup. So there's been...
that's not right.
Well, there's been... Oh, my Lord.
I'm Asian.
I know, he's Asian. So it's had mixed reviews, but I think I'm still going to see it. It sounds fascinating.
I still don't get what it's about from the previews.
Interconnectivity.
Yeah, interconnectivity of the human race.
Well, there. I'm going to go see it now, everybody.
2
Plus-
months.
I know.
She'll lie.
Okay.
I'm gonna go see Hotel Transylvania.
That was
Yeah.
good. It was good. Hurricane Sandy made landfall in New Jersey on Monday evening, for those of you that don't have a television or a radio. With 80 miles an hour sustained winds, it killed at least 48 people. It cut power to, I think it's about 8 million homes and businesses on the East Coast. One way to help is by donating to the Red Cross. All donations provide shelter, food, emotional support, and other assistance to those who are affected by the hurricane. To donate, go to redcross.org, call 1-800-RED-CROSS, or text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. If every one of our listeners, I don't know how many listeners we have, but if you all donated $10, that would be a lot of money to the Red Cross.
And, there's no judgment. I mean,
No.
we're not trying to milk it. It's just people need help. The saddest thing I heard was about the hospital.
The New York hospital.
Backup generator. Wow, that's
Terrible.
Yeah, the backup generator went down, and they had to evacuate all of the patients in the hospital.
And the bigger scheme, right? There was flooding as well, and a lot of the electrical systems. It's going to take weeks on end to repair this situation. People are going to be without power for a while. So,
if you're interested in other ways of helping besides Red Cross, I did a link to a whole list of them that ABC had. That's all the news and gossip I have for today. Predictions?
let me say, I'm the Debbie Downer.
AfterBuzz TV
It's
News.
good to get the word out.
It's serious.
Predictions.
So who do you guys predict will win, and who do you predict will go home next week? Starting with Tony.
Oh, well,
On the chopping block.
right. I really feel like Chad and Shannel, I love them dearly. They're very professional, and they work well together. But I feel like they've kind of been on this track of like, I'm not sure. Like everything is going to count from here on out. So I think as long as they step their game up and continue to do well, I think they'll do fine. Yeah, I don't know. Latrice and Manila, it was kind of scary today. So I think they definitely need to step up and forget about the win, move on to the next one. So step it up, girls.
So you're predicting?
I'm predicting that if Shannel and Chad don't do well, then I think they will go home.
And you're predicting who to win?
Next week?
Period.
Oh.
Is that what you have?
Yeah,
Ultimate?
period. Ultimate winner.
Stop confusing me, Tony.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. What's the question again?
Soul dog.
I think, oh my God, I'm so upset. I think that, I don't know. I think, I don't know at this point. I really don't.
I'm mad at you.
I'm just going to go with Jujubee just because I like them both.
Yeah, they're the wild card. Go ahead.
I was going to go with Jujubee.
You was or you are?
No,
you?
I are. I am.
I are.
Jujubee is still in my top 3, even though Tammie went home. Before we knew there were teams, I picked Jujubee and Chad and Tammie. But I think Team Jujubee is going to win. And to go home, Latrice and Manila. Just because we talked about it earlier and
I think
about Latrice not bringing it. I don't know. Next, let's move on.
I feel like, again, Jujubee would be the ultimate winner just because they're so good as a team. Like, they're working so well together, which is the point of this. And then I actually think Yara Alexis, to me, they keep even though they won this week, I still feel that they've been sliding past the radar.
I totally forgot about them.
See? That's my point.
I changed my prediction. I think they're going home next week.
Watch out, she's going to explode.
Totally forgot about y'all, Alexis.
See?
They're unforgettable.
I think they could bring it a little bit more than Manila and Latrice.
Huh?
Go ahead, Cam.
No. You were saying?
No, I'm done.
I'm still rooting for Manila and Latrice.
Oh, you may not have long to root.
Because if they go home, you will not see me back on this show.
What? We need sass.
And I think that Yara and Blateo are going to be going home.
Yeah.
Yara Sofia. I just like
Sorry,
saying
Courtney.
that team name.
Yara is janky and that hair sucks.
I love
That's all we got for today. Where can they find you guys? You can find me at 123Jackie_B, and Jackie is spelled JACQUE. Cam?
At Tamakava777.
At Natalie Vratney.
At Lounging with Tony.
Lounging with Tony.
And he also has Lounging with Tony videos that are awesome too.
It reminds me of
LoungingWithTony.com.
Oh, and don't forget a homeboy who called
makes
in.
me think of.
Oh, yes. Tim.
Tim.
You can
YouTube.
actually find a link to his YouTube. I'll put it up on Twitter for you guys. So follow me to follow Tim. No, that's terrible.
Oh, that's a way to get him.
What a plug. Just kidding. That's a good one, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I thought it was good.
I like doing that. Yeah, then people are gonna tweet me hate.
That's
hate
okay.
mail.
If you're spending time hating.
Jackie, stop plugging yourself.
I don't think
Stop
people
that.
hate you as much as you say they do.
How often do you
I think
plug
I
yourself?
hate me pretty much.
Don't hate yourself.
How often do you
Love
plug?
yourself.
I plug myself everywhere.
Because if you don't love yourself, how in the hell
How the hell am I gonna love somebody else?
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
They have not played us off yet.
Because we keep talking.
Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only. Do not necessarily.
We should have said in the buzz you later.
In the buzz you later.
You guys jumped to like